The crystalline halls of the Galactic Peace Summit trembled as Warlord Cracksthuul's massive fist slammed against the negotiation table. His forearms, each thick as a tree trunk and covered in chitinous armor plating, flexed menacingly as his compound eyes fixed upon the small human sitting across from him. "You mock the Zephyrian Empire with your pathetic offers." Cracksthuul's voice rumbled through his vocal chambers like grinding stone. "Your species crawled from mud mere millennia ago, yet you dare dictate terms to those who conquered stars when your sun was but cosmic dust." Ambassador Elena Vasquez remained perfectly still, her hands folded calmly on the polished obsidian surface. Around them, representatives from 47 species watched in tense silence. The summit had been humanity's last chance to avoid annexation into the Zephyrian war machine, a fate that had befallen dozens of civilizations over the past century. Warlord Cracksthuul, Elena's voice carried across the chamber with quiet authority. "The Terran Federation offers fair terms for peaceful coexistence. We seek no conflict with your people." The massive alien rose to his full 12-foot height, his exoskeleton gleaming under the chamber's bioluminescent lighting. The Zephyrians were a warrior race that had dominated their sector through brutal conquest, their technology centuries ahead of most species. Their plasma weaponry could reduce planets to glass, their fleet numbered in the millions. Coexistence? Cracksthuul's mandibles clicked in what Elena recognized as contemptuous laughter. "Humans are barely evolved primates. You have nothing we cannot simply take." A murmur ran through the assembled delegates. The Andromedan representative's tentacles writhed nervously, while the crystalline Luxians chimed in harmonious worry. Everyone knew where this was heading. However, the Warlord continued, his voice dropping to a predatory whisper. "I am bound by the old laws. I issue formal challenge to single combat. When I crush you before this assembly, humanity will submit to Zephyrian rule without resistance." Elena had expected this. Her research into Zephyrian culture had revealed their ancient code of honor disputes could be settled through ritualized combat between champions. What she hadn't expected was how quickly her own government had agreed to let her accept. "I accept your challenge, Warlord," she said, rising from her chair. The chamber erupted in shocked gasps. The four-armed killing machine before her had never lost a duel. His victories were legendary across the galaxy. Opponents torn apart with bare claws, crushed beneath his tremendous strength, or dissolved by the bioacid he could secrete from his secondary mouth. Cracksthuul's compound eyes glittered with savage anticipation. "Choose your weapon, little diplomat." "The choice is yours, by right of challenge," Elena replied formally. "Then we fight with natural weapons only. Claws, teeth, strength as our ancestors did, when honor still meant something." The arena materialized around them as the chamber's holographic systems activated. A circular platform 50 meters in diameter, surrounded by an energy barrier to protect the spectators. News feeds from across the galaxy began broadcasting the unprecedented event, a human diplomat facing the most feared warrior in known space. Elena removed her diplomatic jacket, revealing a simple black bodysuit beneath. She looked impossibly fragile, next to the armored behemoth, circling her like a predator, sizing up prey. "Any last words before I end your pathetic species' independence?" Cracksthuul flexed all four arms, extending razor-sharp claws that had carved through starship hulls. "Just one question," Elena said, her voice carrying clearly through the arena. "Have you ever heard of the Terran concept called evolution?" Before the Warlord could respond, Elena's form began to shift. Her human appearance melted away like sheet skin, revealing something that had never before been seen in the galaxy. Her limbs elongated and multiplied, her skin became a flowing, adaptive membrane, and her eyes split into dozens of sensory organs that could perceive across multiple spectrums simultaneously. The arena fell into absolute silence. Elena, or the being that had worn Elena's form, spoke with a voice that resonated on frequencies that touched every species present. Warlord Thule, meet humanity's true evolutionary form. We are not the primitive species that crawled from Earth's mud. We are what we became when we learned to transcend physical limitation. The truth hit the galactic community like a cosmic shockwave. Humanity had not developed advanced technology through traditional means. They had evolved beyond the need for it. Every human in known space was actually an evolved being capable of assuming any form, infiltrating any society, adapting to any environment. Thule stumbled backward, his warrior's instincts screaming danger. Impossible. Our scouts observed your homeworld for centuries. You observed what we wanted you to see, the being replied, its form continuing to shift and adapt. Just as every species in this chamber has. We have been among you all, learning, growing, preparing. The Warlord charged with a desperate roar, all four arms striking simultaneously. The evolved human flowed around his attacks like liquid thought, its form becoming temporarily gaseous, before resolving into something that resembled a living equation more than biological matter. Without violence, without aggression, it simply touched Thule's forehead. The Warlord's eyes widened as his mind was flooded with the true scope of humanity's presence throughout the galaxy. They weren't invaders or conquerors, they were gardeners, nurturing younger species, while protecting them from threats they couldn't yet comprehend. Thule fell to his knees, his entire worldview shattered. We are children playing with weapons we don't understand. Not children, the evolved human corrected gently, its form shifting back toward Elena's familiar appearance. Adolescence. Growing, learning, making mistakes. That's why we revealed ourselves not to conquer, but to guide you past the violence that nearly destroyed us eons ago. The arena dissolved as delegates across the chamber processed the revelation. The Zephyrian Empire, the most feared military force in the galaxy, had been casually infiltrated and monitored by beings so far beyond their understanding that conflict was meaningless. But more than that, they realized that every war, every conflict in recent galactic history had been subtly influenced by these evolved humans, nudging civilizations away from mutual annihilation and toward growth. Ambassador Elena Vasquez smoothed her jacket and returned to her seat as if nothing extraordinary had occurred. Now then, shall we discuss those peace terms? The galaxy would never be the same. Not because of conquest or destruction, but because they had learned they were not alone and their guardians had finally decided it was time to stop hiding in the shadows.